Thank all of you for this warm reception. First of all, let me thank the organizers of this magnificent conference for the invitation. To your inspirational and passionate leader, Maryam Rajavi, it's an honor to be in your company. It's not only an honor to be in your company, but let me say that at some time in the not-too-distant future, we hope that all of your American friends on the dais with you today are in a position to welcome you to the United States of America, where you can hold the next conference. My friend Governor Richardson made reference to the distinguished audience as well. I would like to do the same. I suspect that there are many of you in the audience who, in a very personal and familiar way, understand the nature of repression and oppression that loved ones and family members and friends have experienced because of this theocracy, the tyrannical regime in Iran. We all have empathy for you and your families. I must tell you, over the past couple of months, I've received several letters from people just like you. I got one a couple of days ago from an American citizen proud of his Iranian descent, and he said to me, "Thank you and your American colleagues for speaking out. You should know that it affects me in a very personal way." He said, "I have over a dozen of my family members imprisoned in Iran, and I have nearly 24 of family members, including my mother and father, half of them are women, were in Camp Ashraf." To me, it's very personal. The time is running out, and the time for America to do something is now. Many of the speakers before me have referred to the extraordinary events of the past month or two. Articles all over the world often begin with the young man in Tunisia, humiliated by his government, his modest means of eking out a living taken from him by that government. He set himself ablaze. What he did not know then, but hopefully he knows now, but that was a spark that ignited everything that has happened since across North Africa and across the Middle East. And I think the real challenge, what I'd like to share a couple of thoughts with you about today, is not only identifying what's going on, but wonder out loud what will happen in the future. What will history record was the follow-on in every one of these countries. Will repressive leaders be replaced by repressive leaders, or will the fire of democracy burn strong enough to make sure that doesn't happen? But we all know that it is possible for a country to influence the outcome, and that's why we gather today. Our friends in Europe, our friends in the UK, even the district court has said one of the ways America can influence the outcome is to delist the MEK. We join in solidarity for that purpose. I'm reminded from time to time, as we all are in the United States, but particularly when we see events of this unfolding around the world, of the words of our own Declaration of Independence 200+ years ago, under the yoke of tyranny, seeking freedom of expression, assembly, and religion, we founded a country, and our Declaration of Independence talked about certain truths that were self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. And then among those rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. This is the Declaration of Independence that the people at the Camp Ashraf and individuals throughout the Middle East and North Africa have been saying aloud for the rest of the world to hear, and it's about time we come to their aid. Now is the time to let the voice of the MEK and the democratic resistance be heard. Now is the time for the United States to understand it's not only in the interest of the MEK, interest of Iran, the interest of the region, but it is in the global interest, the interest of the world, to protect the people at Camp Ashraf and delist the MEK. Let's think about this for a moment, ladies and gentlemen. Military and political leaders in the region for years and years have said that the greatest threat to stability in North Africa and the Middle East particularly is Iran. I had occasion a couple of years ago to talk to one of those leaders, prominently figured in today's political discussions. He said there are three problems, three concerns we have in this region of the country, region of the world. It's Iran, it's Iran, it's Iran. The State Department in 2009 said, the State Department in this administration in 2009 said the most active state sponsor of terrorism in the world is Iran. No nation provides more military, political, or financial support to fundamentalists and terrorists around the world than Iran. This is a global issue, ladies and gentlemen, and the people at Camp Ashraf, the democratic resistance, are primed and prepared to help if we help them. And it's about time that we did. Let's remind ourselves that when we're talking about Iran, we're talking about Hezbollah. We're talking about arms and munition, unrest and violence. We're talking about Hamas. We're talking about the Palestinian Islamic Jihad. We're talking about the assassination of a former prime minister of Lebanon and a successor who was sympathetic to Hezbollah. We're talking about agitation in Bahrain. Make no mistake about it, people aren't talking too much about it publicly, but does anyone in this room doubt for a single moment that the Iranian influence protagonists are not alive and well and operating throughout that region? Iran is a problem for the entire world, and the entire world must understand that. And the entire world, in my judgment, ladies and gentlemen, must understand that economic sanctions and UN resolutions just won't be enough. I would suggest that instead of another UN resolution condemning the assault on human dignity and the violation of human rights in Camp Ashraf, instead of a UN resolution, I suggest perhaps they send a multinational force to protect the people of Camp Ashraf. For 30 years, administrations, Republican and Democrat, have tried to engage the mullahs. Ahmadinejad, one of the ironies in this whole debate is that he comes to the United States of America, enjoys the freedom of speech and assembly, can say whatever he wants to say, and he goes back home and dissent is a crime punishable by death. There is something wrong with that picture. Think about this for a moment. Think about this for a moment. Initially, the decision, I am told, and people in the administration have confirmed it publicly, that the MEK was put on the foreign terrorist list as a goodwill gesture. As a goodwill gesture, with the hope that the mullahs and the leadership, political leadership, could be engaged, there could be some kind of peaceful resolution, reconciliation, so that the rights of all Iranians will be respected. It's very difficult to extend goodwill to those who don't know what it means. It's difficult to reach out a hand of friendship when the other hand is in a clenched fist. It hasn't worked. It won't work. It's about time we accepted that fact. Time is running out. The time is now. Time for the U.S. to act is now. I think the only permanent answer to the nuclear threat in the world from Iran, the potential destabilization of that, the only answer is regime change in Iran. Change effected by the will of the people, by those who you should applaud, because it's exactly what should happen. As my colleagues have said, a couple final words, if I might. Those of us who served in the military, none more distinguished than General Jones, I might add. I'm proud to be in his company and proud to be on his side. Unfortunately, I'm a little older than he is, so I didn't serve under him when I was in the military. Would have been proud to do so. There are patriots everywhere in Iran and throughout the Middle East and North Africa. Soldiers all. Soldiers in the march toward democracy. And we had soldiers in Iraq who accepted the weapons of the men and women in the groups in Camp Ashraf, and we provided them protection. The Geneva Convention was something that embraced them, and it was our job to provide that protection. And when our soldiers turned over the responsibility of the Iraq security forces, we got a commitment from al-Maliki's government. I think it's about time that we reminded the government, and America is in the best place to remind them, in the best country to remind them. We've lost thousands of men and women on your soil to give you the opportunity to be free, to give you the opportunity to form a self-government. It's quite ironic. We want the same thing to happen in Iran. It's about time you lived up to your obligations. You made a commitment. Keep it. Keep it. Psychological operations, the medical challenges, the violent incursions have got to stop. And frankly, ladies and gentlemen, we need to put more pressure on the leadership there to make sure that that happens. We should be protecting the people of Camp Ashraf. We should get help from our friends in the United Nations to quit passing resolutions, perhaps put a multinational force to do it if the al-Maliki government cannot. And we should delist the MEK. Thank you very much.